And we're moving on with research methods in psychology. Okay. So real quick, bell ringer for today. Listen and describe the steps to the scientific method. There you go. I'll give you guys some time. Write that down. I know I went over it Friday with you guys, but we need to know it before moving on. Is it not open? Get over here. You're really killing me here.
No, this is not my fault.
It's not your fault that you didn't have your iPad. You weren't prepared for Friday. Okay, try it out now. Yeah. Got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's go over this. Let's describe the steps to the scientific method. What do we have here? Let's roll through it quick since we already know it. We talked about it. What's the first step, Parker? Make an observation. Good job. So you got to make an observation. You got to really find something that you can study, that you can try to go through experimentation with and try to prove eventually like your hypothesis. Good. All right, what's the next step after making an observation? Noah, ask a question. Good job. Ask a question. So let's just say we're out in the park and someone's walking around. You observe them doing something that is different, and you want to try to answer that question. Like, oh, why is this person, I don't know, skipping when they walk? I don't know. Why is this person always on their phone? Okay. Next step is what? After ask a question. Christian? Okay, so you formulate a hypothesis, right? Okay, so you come up with an if-then statement. So if this occurs, then this will be the result. Good job. So with a hypothesis, we'll talk about this soon. It's always an if-then statement. So if this occurs, then this will be the result. Good. What's next? What's next? Haley, Claire, what's next? Make a prediction. Good job. So we need to try to predict outcomes. We need to try to predict behaviors, okay, with this hypothesis. So what might this prediction be if we run it through experimentation? Good. All right, next step, Caitlin. Yeah, so you test it by what? Experimentation, right? Okay, so you use an experiment. Okay, you create an experiment with variables that try to predict and try to answer your hypothesis, your question. Good. Reese's peanut butter cups were really good, by the way, Kayla. Oh, okay. Next step, Allison. All right, so you analyze results, okay? And I know I added this one, you replicate. Okay, so you replicate, you do it all over again, make sure that there's no confounding variables whatsoever. So after you analyze results, you replicate the study. You got to go through it again and make sure that there's no confounding variables. So if it's correct, if it's good, you can do what? You can conclude it. You can publish your results. If it's not, you got to go back up to the hypothesis, create a new hypothesis, make sure that your study, your experimentation follows through. All right, good. Is there any questions on that, guys? Again, empirical approach, when you use scientific study to answer these questions, to come up with these ideas. Now, I know I talked about historical approaches to psychology, and some of these historical approaches, when looked at through the scientific method, some of them don't fall through. Okay, some of them don't go through experimentation to be published. It is what it is. That's why we view them as historical approaches. Were they on the right track to try to push for experimentation, push for the scientific method? Yeah, that's why we talk about it. Okay, and these certain perspectives that we mentioned with the biological view, biological perspective, the sociocultural perspective. Okay, we talked about the behaviorist perspective. Okay, there's many different other ones, obviously, but those are backing. Those are viewpoints of psychology that we still utilize today. All right, good. Terms for today. There we go. I know I already had this one for you in chapter 1, but I'll put it on here, chapter 2, because we will talk about it as well. So we have hindsight bias. That's what we're going to talk about today. Priming, halo effect, and empirical approach. So I'll give you some time, write down these definitions. Again, this is the start of chapter 2, right? So this should be a new chapter for you guys of vocab terms. So when I come around and check them, I like to see it as maybe a new Google Doc, or if you want to just kind of put spaces in it, that's fine too. Just make sure that you know this is a new chapter. Anybody see Madison here today?
She was in my
Okay. All righty. So let's go over this real quick, guys. Hindsight bias. What do we have? What's hindsight bias? Real quick. I'll go over it today in the notes here. Parker, it's hindsight bias. Yeah, good job. So after an event happened, you're looking at it in hindsight, right? You're looking at it in the past and you're thinking, well, anybody could have predicted that, right? Anybody could have knew the results of, let's say, the football game. When in all reality, we had no idea what could have occurred, right? Looking back at an event, it's just our bias. It's our opinion of, well, we could have predicted those behaviors. We could have predicted that event. We could have predicted that conclusion or that summary when in all reality, we had no idea. Okay, we had no idea. So I give an example, like we're at a football game. Okay, we're at a football game. I don't know, James Buchanan. You all knew you're going to win, right? Yeah. Looking back at the event, it's like, okay, yeah, well, I knew UDA was going to defeat James Buchanan, but right, we didn't know what the actual result was going to be. Okay, we had no clue. But I guess we could have just said, oh, well, that would have been easy to say. That would have been an easy outcome to predict. Okay, priming. What's priming? No, what's priming? Yeah, good job. Good job. So a lot of businesses do this, restaurants, okay? They try to influence your behavior or your decision making, okay, with, let's just say, trying to buy a product or trying to buy a good or a service. Okay, in restaurants, they do this all the time. Okay, you're in a restaurant, you hear this luxury music going, right? You hear this just calming, relaxing music in the background. They might have pictures on the walls to represent what type of items or what type of products that they use within their meals. It's like, oh, it's fresh meal. It's obviously good for you, beneficial. Okay, they might do that with pictures. I know in Subway, when you walk in there, you see the juicy tomatoes, you see the lettuce that looks fresh. They show the pictures all over the walls, and they're playing music to calm you down. So for the most part, they're just saying, hey, our ingredients are fresh, they're good, go buy an item. A lot of companies do this with their commercials. Okay, their commercials. I'm sure we all can think of some of these commercials where they were trying to prime you to buy their product. Okay, there's some sort of influential factor that's pushing you to purchase these items. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Halo effect. What do we have for the halo effect, Brady? Yeah, good job. Good job. So let's say we are doing a study. Okay, we are doing a study. And let's just say, Brady, I don't know if you have a girlfriend or not. Let's just say that you're trying to do a study on your girlfriend. Your behaviors, your predictions, your ideas of that study might be swayed to make sure that she doesn't look like she's wrong with something, right? Or that she maybe messed up in the experiment. Because you're shifted towards your relationship with her, it makes you decide on factors that will make it seem that she's perfect in a way. Does that make sense, guys? So I give this example all the time. Let's say we are, I don't know, driving in a car. Haley, let's say Brooke spills a drink in your car. What would you do? Would you freak out on her? Oh, yeah, because she's your sister, right? She's your sister. Really? Okay, well, who else? So let's just say, I don't know if you have a boyfriend or whatever. Let's say he spills a drink in your car. You might act totally different than, let's say, what Brooke spilled a drink in your car. Yeah, most likely. And that's the halo effect in a nutshell. Okay, depending on who is, let's say, performing the study, let's say who we are asking questions or what we might be doing, we might show a little bit more sympathy towards one person depending on our relationship with them. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. Not Halo back there, Parker, the video game. You like that game? Yeah, there's a new one coming out soon. That's what I thought. And finally, empirical approach. What do we have? Empirical approach. What do we got? Natalie? Yeah, good job. So the scientific method really is just this empirical approach. We use scientific backing, research to try to help us, move us, and apply in the right direction moving forward with our studies. Good job. All right. Oh, current events. Don't let me forget. Madison. Oh, she's not here today. So hopefully she's watching this video. She gets back. Okay. So moving forward here, we're going to start these notes. Just a few slides, not too many. Slideshow, research methods. All right, so I'd like you guys to write down your definition of anxiety. Anxiety. So write down your definition of anxiety. That's what I'd like you to do. Anxiety. We all face it. Most of us maybe handle it a little different than others. But anxiety, what is it? So I'll give you guys a minute or two to write down your definition of anxiety. Hey, Madison. Thank you. We're just starting chapter 2, but I'd like you to take the exam. Remember I said that on Friday? You want to go to Mr. Gehring's room? It should be open, should be ready to go. Okay. All right, thank you. Here, you can throw this. Thank you. I'll write you a pass if you don't finish in time then for third period, okay? All right, so anxiety, what do we have, Caitlin? What do you have for anxiety? Okay, nervous, worked up over something. Good job. You have an example of it? When did you ever experience anxiety? All the time. About what? Presentations? Okay. All right, presentations. Yeah, I know it's difficult getting up and talking, discussing content material. What's that? Oh, when you're late. You mean you think you're going to be late, like the worry of being late. Okay. Yeah, I do too. I get that feeling a lot. You got to show up 15 minutes early, right? If you're showing up on time, you're late. Christian, what example do you have of anxiety? I think we all can agree it's just this nervous feeling of worry, feeling of almost like a pit in our stomach to the point where it's just going to make us react differently, right? What do you got, Christian? What example do you have for anxiety? Before you take a test? Okay. All right. Yeah, because the feeling of the unknown, right? Yeah. What about in the football field? Get nervous? Yeah. Right before the game starts. I know I always got butterflies in my stomach. It's like, ooh, here we go. Or wrestling at States for me especially. It's like, oh my gosh, in front of all these people on the giant center floor. This is unbelievable. Yeah, you get nervous. You get anxious. No, what about you? Step out in the mat? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, where we got to get the win at the end. It's coming down to you. A lot of pressure, isn't it? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Brady, what about you? Before football games, yeah, when he's running all over the field and everything. Both of you two, holy cow, running for touchdowns, a bunch of yards. What about you, Hadley? Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I know, especially yesterday, I was driving to actually the pony game, the midget football game, Lime Mountain UDA. I was coming across an Amish buggy. Oh my gosh, it was right around a blind turn. I was like, oh, do I go? Do I not? If I go now, I could get totally just smashed right in the front here if I don't take my time here or I don't zoom it past real fast. Yeah, especially when you're driving. Yeah, when you're picking up your phone and texting. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Parker, what about you? Last one here. We'll move on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh, I can quick slap this together. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good job. Good job. Kiara, you ever feel anxiety? You have an example of one before we move on here? The test you just took? Sure? Okay. When you're making a TikTok, is it going to go viral or not?
No, but you're talking about it, how you feel like.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go. All right, guys. So with anxiety, what if I told you we'll have a research paper to do next week? I'm sorry.
I would like to object.
Raven, what did you say?
I would like to object to the research paper.
Oh, this guy over here. Right through
I got too much stuff going on this week anyway.
Too much stuff? Really?
Yes, actually.
Oh, man. No. Andrew, you'd be okay with it, right?
No, I have a job.
Oh, geez. Holy cow. Another presentation. What the heck? Kaylin, what would you rather have, presentation or a research paper?
If we're allowed to do it with partner presentation.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I did. It's one of those things. I'm sorry. Next Friday we have one. It's just a research paper and project. Well, 5 pages at least.
Okay, do you understand how many I have? That is actually.
What if I got you peanut butter cups? What about peanut butter cups? So I gave you those. You'll do it. Okay. All right, Kaylin. Here we go. That's a nice wager. Yeah. Oh, man. So you guys feel anxious, feel stressful? Oh, just got to manage all these other classes, go to work, play Halo, right, Parker? I ain't joking. There ain't no fibbing up here. Sorry. Brady, are you going to be all right with this? He's like, whatever. Just give it to me. I'll do it. I'm just joking. No research paper. No research paper. I do have research for you, though, eventually. You'll have to research a famous psych experiment. That's towards the end of the chapter here. Okay. There is no paper. I just wanted to build on your feelings, right? I wanted to build on your state of mind right now, especially as we're getting into research. Because I got all worked up, right? I get like really warm when I get anxious and stressful. I'm like, oh gosh, what did I do? Oh, whenever my dad calls or yells for me, I'm like, oh no, what did I do? Jeez, when I was younger, not anymore. Just tell him how it is. But anyway, we need to do research because it could be misleading. Okay, we could be building on people's emotions, people's fears. I know we talked about pseudosciences before, right? Okay, and how that is building on these emotions. Is it backed by science? Most likely not, right? There really is no backing to try to justify that or try to obviously prove these studies. So we need to make sure that this is clear, that we have our backing, that we have our results published so we can replicate it, and that we can prove what our study is trying to find out, what it's trying to answer. Remind me to tell you guys about, if you weren't there at the Lackawanna College presentation, I do have a sign up there to show you and tell you when that money has to be due. So remind me towards the end of class to talk about that a little bit. All right, so why we need to do research? Well, because we need to make sure that we can put feelings, emotions to the side. Now we can back and prove our study through experimentation, through maybe it's surveys, right? Maybe it's just a response to a certain question. Okay, we'll talk about surveys here soon enough and how they are important to gather information to help with our studies. All right, so real quick, another demonstration. I think this is fun to do. And with this one especially, we get answers all over the place. Well, you know what? How about we just skip through it? Because I need to get to these three terms here. Okay, it was really just about feelings or emotions, especially with with relationships, how distance might strengthen them, or they might just totally put them away, right? If we don't see our partner, if we don't see our the person that we're with, it might really cause some issues for us, okay? And it might not work out the way we would want. It was just about distance and maybe how relationships, if you're closer together, if one goes to college, who knows, and it could really just push that relationship to the side. So I'm going to skip through that. It's just describing a little bit more about why we need experimentation, why we need research to try to prove our findings. All right, so hindsight bias. I know I kind of mentioned this already with the vocab term, but hindsight bias is the I knew it all along effect. And with me, oh my gosh, I put some money down on some college football games this past weekend, and it didn't work out the way I wanted. Looking at them when I was placing the bet, I thought, this is no brainer here. This is going to win me some money. But after the game was over, I sat there and I was like, well, I lost some money. This stinks. And at the same time, I looked at some of these games. I knew that could have happened. I knew that, let's say, Arkansas was going to beat Texas. I bet on Texas to win, and oh my gosh, I can't believe they lost. Unbelievable. And with that being said, this hindsight bias is this idea where we look back at an event that already occurred and we said, oh, well, that was easy to figure out. Anybody could have knew the result to, let's say, that game or that event that occurred. I like to show the picture of the Titanic. Oh, well, yeah, it was going to happen. They're sailing across the Atlantic Ocean when there's icebergs all over the place. Yeah, the chances of them actually hitting an iceberg and sinking was huge. Did everybody know it at the time? No, not at all. Also, New Orleans, right next to the Gulf Coast. Hurricanes strike there all the time? Yeah. Is there going to be devastation every time a hurricane hits? Yeah. But until the event actually happens, do we actually know the outcome? No, not at all. Not at all. And like I said, when you're looking at a sporting event, I think that's a great example of what hindsight bias is. After the event occurred, you can look back at the event and say, you know what? Anybody could have predicted the outcome to that game, to that score, right? So, like I said, Christian, when you guys rolled James Buchanan, was there ever a doubt in your mind that you're going to lose that game? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you were pretty much saying, oh, this is going to be an easy cake game, no problem. We're going to roll up like 40 points and we're going to just ride it into sunset. What, you put up 60, I think, didn't you? Yeah, unbelievable. Crazy. But did you actually know you're going to win the game before it happened? Yeah, you probably had this feeling, this confidence that you were. But yeah, you didn't play it yet. Okay, you didn't know exactly how you're going to play. You had no idea if you're going to rush for 100 yards or how many yards did you have that game? Oh, you didn't play James Buchanan. That's right. Brady, how many yards do you have? Like 150 or something? Oh, my gosh. All right. Okay. Well, you had 3 touchdowns, I think, though. Yeah, so let's say he had 3 touchdowns. Do you know he's going to score 3 touchdowns? No. All right. But anyway, looking back at an event, this is this idea that I knew it all along. In fact, we need to push this out when we're trying to coming up with an experiment. We're trying to develop a hypothesis. We can't just go off of these emotions, this behavior that comes to mind when we're coming up with a hypothesis. All right, so here's an example of this hindsight bias, this priming. Okay. Oops. Went too far, sorry. And it just kicked me off. Darn it. Had too much going on, I guess, at the same time. Raven, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll just talk about it. I know my PowerPoint just went out. Oh, well. But priming, okay, I know I described it already with the vocab term, but priming is a way to try to find an answer, try to predict a behavior, okay, that you're trying to access. So with restaurants, businesses, they always do this through their commercial ads, maybe through the deals that they offer. Okay, they're trying to prime you to buy or purchase their item. Okay, so priming is really just this sense of trying to find a behavior that you're looking for, that you're trying to strive for. Okay, and let's say a customer. Okay, business is just a great way to try to access that. Right, there's other examples that you can use, but with businesses especially. What is it? To buy one, get one for $1 at Burger King right now. That's a good deal. So if you look at one of these burgers, you can buy one and get another burger just for $1 more. And that's priming you to purchase another item for just $1. Yeah, there are hidden fees to it. Yeah, oh, they crush you a little bit. But at the same time, you see that deal, that's priming you to purchase that item. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. So they do a lot of studies, especially in restaurants, okay, where they play a certain melody, a certain music. Okay, I know if I'm in a place, in an atmosphere that has a certain, I guess you say almost like a cultural background and a certain music playing, I'll most likely purchase one of those items. Okay, over the weekend, I was down at a Irish pub. Okay, I was at an Irish pub watching some of these college football games. I was sitting inside this Irish pub. I was like, oh, yeah, look at it. You hear the Irish songs, melodies, and at the same time with all of the I guess you could say the decorations on the wall, it drove me to purchase a beverage that was, yeah, kind of Irish, Ireland, right? It was like a green beer. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy one of them. Why? Because I'm in the setting. It's priming me to purchase one of these items. And I also got a burger with like melted Cooper cheese all over it, and one of those crock pots I spent a little bit extra money for just to get the feeling, to get the jive of it. And that's a way for them to prime you to purchase these items that you typically wouldn't buy. Okay, but because of the atmosphere, because of the melody, because of the music, and because of the look of some things, I purchased these items when in all reality I didn't need to. Does that make sense? All right. So again, you guys can come up with examples of priming on your own. That'll be the bell ringer for tomorrow. So think of some priming, hindsight bias examples. And finally, halo effect. So halo effect is really just how our behaviors, our actions, our personalities might be different depending on who it is, right? Who it is. So we might treat people differently depending on our relationship with that person, okay? I know I gave some examples with boyfriends, girlfriends, how we might not react differently, how we react differently to these people if something were to occur, something were to happen. So Kiara, I don't think you're here for this, but with the halo effect, a good example would be, let's say your brother comes into Pizza Delight, the one you don't like very much. So he comes in, he tries to purchase an item, let's say a slice of pizza. Are you going to treat him with the same manners, the same personality as, let's say, a stranger coming in? No, you're going to treat him like crap. Like, hey, here's your cup. Go get your own. Here's a slice of pizza. You're going to give him the smallest slice, maybe. You're not going to really cook it too much. You're just going to go get out of here. Beat it. And then a stranger walks in, and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, no problem. Here's your cup. So that's the halo effect. Right? Your relationship of that person might depend your reactions, your personalities, your behaviors towards that person differently. All right, is there any questions, guys? I know my PowerPoint just gave out mid-presentation, but hey, technology, it's awesome, right? Awesome. Okay, that's all I got for today. Make sure you remember hindsight bias. Make sure you remember priming. And make sure you remember halo effect. Now that pertains to certain things. See you guys. Have a good one. Take care.